Yep. So it's not like school in terms of that you just like have your classes that are sort of selected for you, and you just go to class and that's it. It's sort of more, I guess it's obviously a bit different with COVID, like not going in. But basically, you've got your tutorial class, which is well, I guess first you've got your lecture, which is where you learn your content for the subject for the week, and then you'll have a tutorial class that is sort of a bit more like the classroom, where you go through a few more like problems, sort of stuff like that. But yeah, so like the lectures is just like a big general thing that everyone doing the subject will be in, or like similar lecture stream. And then yeah, your tutorial class is a bit more like 20-ish people, sort of like that. And you can sort of in your first year at Melbourne, at least, it's pretty much your classes are picked for you. Like there are some core subjects you have to do. But then now I'm in my second year and you can sort of choose your own classes a bit more.
Jonty, have you got similar experience at Monash?
Yeah, that's pretty similar at Monash. You've got one tutorial with about 15 people and then one lecture with could be up to hundreds. And yeah, pretty similar in terms of the subjects wise. In your first year, there's 6 to 8 subjects that branch out of like all different areas of commerce that you have to do. So they're core subjects. So you've got marketing, accounting, economics. You've got all different branches of commerce. And then from then on, that's when you start to choose which ones you like best. And you go into more specific things from your second year onwards.
Yeah. So I guess it's a bit different to school in the fact that you don't have, 6 periods a day in a different class every 45 minutes. It's got like one big lecture, which is, maybe an hour, 2 hours or something. And then you've got essentially one class later that week. Is that kind of how it works?
Yeah. Yeah. And sort of the good thing is that you can structure your classes around what you do. So if you're working and you've got, say, work on Wednesday, Thursday, then you can structure it so all your classes, like you only have 4 tutorials you actually have to be in class for per week if you're doing 4 subjects. So you can schedule them all on days or times that work for you. And I found like lectures are pretty flexible, like especially with the online ones, like they're not, they're just pre-recorded lectures, so you can watch them when you want.
Yeah, definitely. I think you've definitely got time for a part-time job, and I think it's probably pretty essential to structure your week, because obviously you might only be going to uni 1 or 2 days a week. You've got quite a lot of spare time compared to school. I think most people you'll meet will have a part-time job a couple of days a week. Yeah, and lifestyle's a lot different to when you're at school, when mum used to give you money to go to the tuck shop. Yeah, it's pretty essential to be earning your own money, and if you need to buy something for yourself, yeah, you're earning a small income every week. But yeah, it's pretty similar to school in terms of throughout the semester, it's about a 50% weighting towards in-semester tasks. And then at the end of the semester, there's an exam, which is normally roughly the other half. All subjects are different. Some subjects don't have an exam. Some subjects are all exam. But a regular kind of layout, yeah, is 50% in semester. And they're sometimes made up of attendance, turning up to tutes and doing your questions, quizzes every couple of weeks, maybe a mid-sem, a few essays, and there's a lot of group assignments at uni. Subjects really love to include group assignments, so that's one to look out for.
Max, what about you? Have you had a similar experience?
Yeah, like basically every subject's slightly different, but a lot of the commerce subjects will be along the same lines. Like at the start of the semester, they'll give you a study guide that sort of says the breakdown, what everything will be worth. A lot of the time, the exam's worth quite a lot, like 60% plus. And they're at Melbourne in the commerce faculty. They also have they make all the exams a hurdle requirement, so you can't pass the subject if you haven't passed the exam, which can sort of stitch a few people up if you're not paying attention in the exam. But it'll basically be something like maybe 60% for the exam, 20% for a mid-semester test, and then 10% for 2 assignments or something like that. Bit of maybe a quiz, weekly quiz sort of thing.
Yeah, for me, overall, I'd say there's less work at uni. But I think in saying that, it's a lot easier to do not as well, to do worse at uni, because there's no one really motivating you. The teachers aren't following you up on every single work you complete. And if you don't hand something in, it's up to you. You're the one that's going to suffer and not get the marks. So yeah, it's a lot less motivation at uni. So you've really got to be on top of that. Yeah, and it's easy to get into bad habits. So make sure you really structure yourself well and keep on top of the workload.
Max, what about you?
Yeah, well, I'd say probably with the workload, I'd say it's like quite a lot less than school, because obviously you only have 1 class per week. But the content is probably a bit like there's probably more content, like they're fitting like a whole subject into like 10 lectures sort of thing. So like I remember rocking up to the first week of uni thinking that you wouldn't really have to do any work, but then you sit through the first like macroeconomics lecture or something, and it's like that's like the whole 1-2 economics course in one lecture, and you're like, oh, we spent like a week on each of these things. So there's sort of that aspect, and then everyone can sort of do it differently to like how they work best, but I like keeping consistent. So even though I don't have like my lecture actually in person, I like to watch my lectures like on the days that they're scheduled for, because otherwise you just get so behind. And like obviously if you're just like looking to pass, then you can sort of get away with a bit more. But if you want to, depends what you're looking for out of your degree really. If you want to do really well and get like a graduate job at a big firm or something, you want to sort of be aiming for a higher mark. You're going to want to be doing like pretty consistent work to be able to keep up from the start probably.
You'll end up getting a bit of a part-time job after year 12. And you can choose obviously your timetable. It's different to obviously year 12. You can choose your timetable, the subjects that you're doing, and try and fit that around your work schedule. I tend to fit uni in, try and cram it all into 2 days, or like 2 or 3 days over the semester. Or over the past few years, I guess I've got it down to squeezing it into 2 days, just so that I can have 3 days of work, 1 day of 1.5 days of classes and stuff, and then sort of spend, I guess, another half a day just trying to knuckle down on some work and assignments. I've been fortunate enough that with my part-time jobs that they've been quite casual, so that I have been able to here and there take I guess an extra uni day during the week, just so that I can smash some assignments or study for exams in that pointy end of the semester.
I'd say like not much. Like probably the most is like differentiation, if you got that down pat. I don't know, that's been my experience so far, but obviously I'm only in my second year. Might get super difficult in my last year, but I don't think it will. Just basic algebra and differentiation, I'd say.
Jonty or Ed, do you have any different experience?
There's definitely subjects that you can choose that has a lot of high-level maths. Yeah, the accounting and economics ones, most of them don't have as much compared to methods, but definitely the stuff in methods definitely helps throughout some of your courses, because some things do pop up every now and then, and it's pretty useful to know them. But yeah, you can really depends on what subjects you do.
I forgot there's a couple subjects that you have to do a bit of like probability stuff for, like statistics.
Yeah,
but like they go over all the stuff. It's not ridiculous.
Yeah, cool.
An internship is pretty much it's about a 6-week kind of introduction into a workplace. So yeah, obviously I haven't done it yet, so I'll find out a lot more coming up. But so you go into the workplace and you work with them for 6 weeks with a lot of other interns. You apply at the start of the year. It's quite a big process trying to get in, a lot of interviews and things. But yeah, so you do that in your penultimate year, so your second last year. Yeah, and that sets you up. It's just over summer for a few weeks. And yeah, you choose what area you want to do it in, and you're pretty much working within the business for 6 weeks, and then that will hopefully potentially open up to jobs at that same kind of firm after you finish your degree, a graduate role at the end. But yeah, it's not pivotal to get one, but it definitely helps. Yeah, I know a lot of people who have got internships and they've gone on to get jobs afterwards. But yeah, some of my best mates in some older years, they haven't got into internships or haven't thought about applying for them, and they've still got good jobs straight after uni. So yeah, it helps, but it's not pivotal.
Ed, maybe you're the best one to speak on this, given your kind of fifth year. What do you think?
Yeah, I remember speaking about this with you, Strath, and it's a lot of pressures I think put on uni students to get these internships. And I actually wasn't fortunate enough to get one. I applied for all of them, and the process is quite rigorous. But and that was in my penultimate year, so my third year, my fourth year going to this year. But I have then since applied for all the graduate programs after that, and I've been fortunate enough to to secure a role at a respectable consultancy firm. So it's definitely not pivotal like what Jonty said. It does definitely help. I've got a lot of friends who also have done these internships and have then just gone on to secure a role at that firm and gain the practical experience necessary. But it's definitely not the be all and end all. And I thought it was. I actually went through. It's actually quite a hard time getting rejected by a lot of the internships, and you end up feeling down because you just think you're not good enough and all this sort of stuff. And I went through it all, and it sucked. But that's just the reality sometimes. And then even with the graduate roles, there's a lot of them to apply to, but you just got to I guess keep your head up and hope that you do land one, and even if you don't, it's not the end of the world. I mean, the part-time job that I'm in now, I'm doing some part-time mortgage broking, but that could easily lead into a full-time employment after my uni. So there's so many options out there, and it's just, I guess, the one thing I learned is just to never give up, but also to not be so hard on yourself when you don't get accepted into one of these roles.
I've got a couple of things like what Max just said. You got to put in to get out of uni, and in saying that, it's also quite hard to make friends. So really get involved. I know I went on a thing called Commerce Camp in my first couple of weeks of uni. It was just a big week of I didn't really know many people in my course going into it, and that was just a big week of drinking with about 100 other people. It was pretty large, but I came out of that with so many mates. And in every shoot you go into, I had someone I knew, and it was so good to have familiar faces. I reckon that's one of the best things I've done in terms of having a good friendship group at uni. So many other people ask me how do I know people at uni? How do you find mates? But definitely get involved. Join. I know some people might think they're too cool to do it. But yeah, join the committees. You can make a really fun, good group of mates in that way. And the other thing is with uni, getting into uni, the ATAR it's definitely not the be all and end all. I know people will put so much pressure on your ATAR and getting a certain number. Yeah, obviously put in all the effort you can and try to get the highest score you can. But if you don't get that number in December when it comes through, don't be too hard on yourself. My best mate, he just wanted to get into commerce at Melbourne so badly. That was his dream. And then when the ATAR came through, he still did it right, but didn't get the number to get in. And we were actually really worried about him because we didn't hear from him for about 3 days. Wasn't answering anyone's messages. But then within 6 months, he said he got into arts at Melbourne, and then within 6 months, it was easy to transfer into commerce, and he's doing what he wants now. And looking back, yeah, he's laughing. He's doing well for himself. So yeah, I just don't put too much pressure on you, but yeah, obviously work as hard as you can.
Ed, any final words of advice?
I just think I think these boys have summed it up very well. But yeah, I think the one thing that I went into uni, I guess with high expectations of myself, was trying to get the best ATAR. But whilst it's important to get into your course, it's also not the be all and end all. There's so many sort of different pathways that anyone can choose. I mean, I've had people doing arts, and now they're doing medicine, because medicine is such a hard sort of ATAR to get into. There's just heaps of different pathways, and I guess the one that rings pretty true and is pretty accurate for me at the moment was just that what I touched on earlier, just regarding the internships and the graduate programs, just because it is not the be all and end all. So.